Marcus Thompson's fist connected with the intruder's throat before his brain registered the movement. 3 seconds. That's all it took. The hired actor hit the marble floor unconscious, while 40 executives stood frozen in shock. Victoria Chase, the billionaire CEO who'd orchestrated this security drill, felt her coffee cup slip from her fingers. "Where did you learn that?" she whispered. The night security guard, the invisible man who'd mopped these floors for 3 years, simply straightened his uniform and said, "I watch a lot of movies, ma'am." But his hands told a different story. And Victoria Chase was about to learn that some ghosts don't stay buried. Comment your city below. I want to know how far this story of redemption travels. The alarm screamed through the executive floor of Chase Industries at exactly 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Marcus Thompson was pushing his mop bucket past the service elevator when the sound hit. His body reacted before his mind could catch up. Shoulders squared, weight centered, eyes scanning for exits, threats civilians. 3 years of mopping floors. 3 years of being invisible. 3 years of training himself to be nobody. And in 1 second, all of it almost came undone. "This is a drill," the intercom announced. "Security response test in progress. All personnel remain in position." Marcus exhaled slowly. Just a drill. He loosened his grip on the mop handle, the same grip he'd once used on an M4 carbine in places that didn't exist on any official map. Just a drill. He should have kept walking. Should have pushed that bucket right back to the supply closet and waited for the circus to end. That's what a night security guard would do. That's what Marcus Thompson, employee ID 4471, was supposed to do. But then he heard Victoria Chase's voice echoing from the executive gym, and something in his gut twisted. "Gentlemen, what you're about to witness is a demonstration of why Chase Industries leads the industry in security technology." Marcus moved closer. He told himself it was curiosity. Told himself he just wanted to see what kind of show the CEO was putting on for her investors. He was lying. The executive gym was a monument to corporate excess. Glass walls imported Matt's equipment that cost more than Marcus made in a year. Through the windows, he could see them 40 people in suits, arranged like an audience at a gladiator show. Victoria Chase stood at the center, dressed in tactical pants and a fitted black shirt that probably cost $3,000. She was explaining something about response protocols, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. "Our security team has been trained by the best contractors in the world," she announced. "Watch closely." A door burst open. A man in black tactical gear rushed in, playing the role of an intruder. He moved well, probably ex-military or law enforcement. Good form, controlled aggression. Victoria's security team responded. 4 men, all impressive on paper. They converged on the intruder with practiced efficiency. And they failed. The intruder slipped past the first guard's tackle, ducked under the second's arm, spun away from the third. Within 15 seconds, he was at the window, touching the glass symbolically, reaching the executives. "Threat reaches target," the intruder announced. "Drill complete." Silence filled the room. Victoria's face went through 3 colors before settling on something between fury and humiliation. That was just a warm-up," she said, her voice tight. "Let's run it again." They ran it again. The intruder won. They ran it a 3rd time. Same result. Marcus watched from the hallway, his mop forgotten. He could see the problems clearly. The security team was trained for intimidation, not actual combat. Their footwork was wrong. Their positioning created gaps. They moved like men who'd learned fighting from PowerPoint presentations. The investors were murmuring now. One of them, a gray-haired man with the look of old money, leaned over to whisper something to his colleague. Whatever he said made Victoria's jaw clench. "One more time," she ordered. "Jenkins, you're up. Show them what our team can really do." Jenkins was the biggest of the security guards. 6'4", 240, arms like tree trunks. He positioned himself between the intruder and the window, cracking his knuckles. "Come on then," Jenkins said. The intruder moved. Jenkins reached, and Marcus Thompson, without making a conscious decision, stepped through the gym door. Everything happened in the space between heartbeats. The intruder was fast, trained professional. But Marcus was something else entirely. Something that 3 years of mop buckets and night shifts couldn't erase. He intercepted the intruder mid-stride. His left hand redirected the man's momentum. His right found the pressure point at the base of the throat, not enough to cause permanent damage, just enough to shut down the nervous system's ability to resist. The intruder hit the floor, unconscious, clean. 3 seconds, maybe less. The gym went silent. 40 executives stared at the night security guard standing over the crumpled body of their unbeatable test subject. Victoria Chase's coffee cup shattered on the mat. Marcus looked down at his hands, steady, not even trembling. After everything, his body still remembered. His body would always remember. "Someone call medical," he said quietly. "He'll be fine, but he should be checked." Nobody moved. Victoria Chase found her voice first. "Who the hell are you?" Marcus bent to check the intruder's pulse. Strong and steady. Good. He hadn't wanted to hurt anyone. Hadn't wanted to be seen. But the man had been heading for the window, and beyond that window were civilians, assistants, interns, people who didn't sign up to be part of any drill. Old instincts, old patterns, the kind that got buried but never died. "Marcus Thompson," he said, standing. "Night security. Building 3. "Night security doesn't move like that." Victoria stepped closer, and Marcus saw something in her eyes, not fear, but recognition. She'd seen this before. Somewhere, somehow, she'd seen what real violence looked like. Night security doesn't take down a trained professional in 3 seconds flat. It was closer to 2.5, actually. The words were out before Marcus could stop them. Stupid. 3 years of being invisible, and he'd just made a joke. Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Where did you learn that?" "I watch a lot of movies, ma'am." "Don't." Her voice sharpened. "Don't insult my intelligence. I've trained with Israeli special forces. I've worked with contractors who've seen real combat. What you just did, that wasn't movie training. That was muscle memory. That was someone who's done this for real more times than they can count." Marcus said nothing. The crowd was pressing closer now, phones emerging from pockets. Someone was definitely recording. 3 years of anonymity about to go up in smoke. "Ma'am, I'm just a security guard. I saw a gap in your defensive line and I reacted. That's all." "No." Victoria shook her head slowly. "That's not all. Jenkins, show me the footage." "Ms. Chase, I really should get back to—" "You're not going anywhere." The tablet appeared from somewhere. Jenkins pulled up the security feed, and the room watched Marcus's intervention frame by frame. At normal speed, it looked like magic. In slow motion, it was something else entirely. There. Victoria paused the video. "See that? He redirected the attack using the subject's own momentum. That's Systema, Russian military training. And here..." She advanced a few frames. The strike to the carotid. That's not a knockout technique. That's a kill shot pulled at the last second. Marcus felt the walls closing in. Too many eyes. Too many phones. Too many questions that led to places he couldn't go. "I need to leave now." "You need to tell me who you really are." "I'm nobody, Ms. Chase. Just a man trying to do an honest job." He moved toward the door. Victoria's hand caught his arm, not grabbing, just touching. A warning. "I'm going to find out," she said quietly, so only he could hear. "Whatever you're hiding, I'm going to find it. Then I feel sorry for you." "Why?" Marcus looked at her, and for just a moment, he let her see something real. The weight he carried, the ghosts he'd buried, the price of being what he'd been. "Because some things should stay buried, ma'am. For everyone's sake." He walked out of the gym, leaving his mop bucket behind. Behind him, phones were already uploading video. In 12 hours, his face would be everywhere. In 24, the questions would start. And somewhere in the dark corners of the world where men traded death like currency, someone would recognize what they saw. 3 years of silence. 3 years of peace. And Marcus Thompson had just announced his location to everyone who wanted him dead. The drive home took 47 minutes. Marcus used the time to think. His apartment was in a tired building on the south side of Chicago, not dangerous, just forgotten. The kind of place where people didn't ask questions because they had too many of their own. 3 years ago, it had been perfect. Now it felt like a target. He climbed the stairs to the 4th floor, listening for anything wrong. The hallway was quiet. Mrs. Patterson's door was closed. She'd be at work until 6. The Rodriguez family's apartment smelled like cooking rice. Normal sounds. Normal smells. Nothing to worry about. Marcus unlocked his door and stepped inside. The apartment was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen that had seen better decades. But it was clean. It was safe. And hanging on the wall above the second-hand couch was the only thing that mattered. A photograph. Maya's school picture from last year. Her smile was Rachel's smile. Her eyes were his own. "You're home early," the voice came from the kitchen. Marcus's hand moved toward the knife in his pocket before his brain caught up. "Mrs. Patterson." The elderly woman appeared in the doorway, drying her hands on a dish towel. 73 years old, raised 5 children, buried 2 husbands. She watched Maya after school when Marcus worked the day shift. School called. Maya got into a fight. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Is she okay? She's fine. Other boy looks worse. She's in her room. A fight. His 8-year-old daughter had gotten into a fight. The sins of the father showing up in the next generation. What happened? Mrs. Patterson's expression softened. You should ask her, Marcus. But between you and me, some boy said something about her not having a mama. Maya gave him a reply he won't forget. Marcus closed his eyes. Rachel. Even 3 years gone, her absence echoed through their lives in ways he couldn't predict or prevent. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. I've got it from here. The old woman gathered her things, then paused at the door. She's got your spirit, Marcus. That's not always easy, but it's not always bad either. Don't be too hard on her. After she left, Marcus stood in the hallway for a long moment, gathering himself. Then he walked to Maya's door and knocked. Go away. Can't do that, baby girl. Open up. Silence. Then the sound of small feet crossing the floor. The door opened just wide enough to reveal one eye and half a braided head. I'm in trouble. I don't know yet. You gonna tell me what happened? Maya's eye studied him with more wisdom than any 8-year-old should possess. Then the door opened wider. His name is Derek, she said, climbing onto her bed and hugging a worn stuffed elephant. He said my mama must have been ugly if she died just to get away from me. Marcus felt something cold and sharp twist in his chest. Not anger, something deeper. The particular pain of watching your child carry wounds you can't heal. And what did you do? I punched him in the nose. Then I said his mama must be real proud of raising a mean boy. Maya, I know hitting's wrong. You always say use words first. But Daddy, I did use words. Lots of them. He just kept saying things and everybody was laughing and Her voice cracked. I couldn't let him talk about Mama like that. Marcus sat on the bed beside her. The mattress sagged under his weight, another thing that needed replacing another bill he was saving for. He put his arm around Maya's shoulders and felt her lean into him. Your mama, he said slowly, was the most beautiful woman I ever met, inside and out, and she didn't die to get away from anyone. She died because sometimes bad things happen to good people, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But you stopped bad things, before, when you were a soldier. Marcus went still. They didn't talk about his past. It was an unspoken rule, as natural as breathing. Maya knew he'd been in the army. She knew something bad had happened. She didn't know the details, and Marcus had planned to keep it that way. Who told you I was a soldier? Nobody. Maya clutched the elephant tighter. I figured it out. The way you walk. The way you check the locks 3 times every night. The way you always sit facing the door at restaurants. She looked up at him. I'm not stupid, Daddy. No, baby girl. You're not stupid. You're the smartest person I know. So why can't you stop bad things anymore? Is it because of Mama? Marcus didn't answer right away. He looked at the photograph on Maya's nightstand. The 3 of them taken 6 months before Rachel died. They'd been at Navy Pier eating overpriced ice cream, laughing at nothing. The last good day before everything fell apart. When your mama died, he said carefully, I had a choice. I could keep being the person who stops bad things, or I could be your daddy, not both. And you needed a daddy more. But you could still stop bad things sometimes, like today. Maya's eyes were sharp. I heard Mrs. Patterson on the phone. She said you took down some guy at work, and now it's all over the internet. Marcus felt ice slide down his spine. What? She said you're famous now, like a superhero. The phone. Where was his phone? He'd left it in the truck trying to buy himself time to think. Now? Stay here, Maya. I need to check something. Daddy. Stay. Here. He retrieved the phone from his truck with hands that wanted to shake. 73 missed calls, 200 messages, 16 voicemails. The first video had 2.3 million views. Marcus watched himself. Watched the ghost of who he used to be take down the intruder in crystalline HD. Someone had added slow-motion replays. Someone else had analyzed his technique, breaking down each movement with the precision of a sports commentator. The subject uses a modified Systema approach combined with what appears to be Marine Corps line training, the voiceover explained. This level of skill indicates extensive special operations experience, possibly Delta Force or SEAL Team 6. The restraint shown pulling the kill shot at the last microsecond suggests someone trained for capture operations rather than elimination. Marcus turned off the phone. 3 years. 3 years of building a new life from the ashes of the old one. 3 years of proving to himself that he could be more than a weapon. And now, because of one moment of instinct, everyone knew. Everyone. His phone buzzed with a text from a number he didn't recognize but immediately knew. Blocked caller. Hello, Marcus. It's been a long time. Beautiful daughter. She looks like her mother. Let's hope she doesn't die like her too. Marcus stared at the screen, read the words 3 times, felt something ancient and terrible wake up in his chest, something he'd spent 3 years trying to kill. They'd found him. Of course they had. He'd practically sent them an invitation. Another text. You took something from me in Syria. Now I take everything from you. Fair is fair. Syria. 6 years ago. A mission that had gone wrong in every possible way. Marcus walked back into the apartment. Maya was standing in the hallway watching him with eyes that saw too much. Daddy, you're doing the face again. What face, baby girl? The scary face. The soldier face. Marcus looked at his daughter, at Rachel's smile and his own stubborn chin. At the future he'd been trying to build, now crumbling around him like a house of cards. Maya, I need you to pack a bag, enough clothes for a few days. Why are we going somewhere? Maybe. I don't know yet. He knelt in front of her, taking her small hands in his scarred ones. Listen to me carefully. Do you remember what I taught you about strangers? Don't talk to them. Don't take anything from them. If someone tries to grab me, scream and run to a grown-up. Good. For the next few days, those rules are extra important. If anyone at all tries to talk to you when I'm not around, you run. You understand? Maya's lower lip trembled. Daddy, you're scaring me. I know, baby. I'm sorry. But sometimes being scared keeps us safe. Is this about the soldier stuff? About why you stopped? Marcus pulled her into a hug, holding on tight enough that he could feel her heartbeat against his chest. Fast, frightened, but strong. So strong. There are bad people in the world, Maya. Some of them want to hurt me because of things I did a long time ago. And the only way they can hurt me, the only way that matters, is through you. So what are we going to do? Marcus thought about running. New city, new names. Start over again somewhere Sergei Volkov and his people couldn't find them. It had worked before. It could work again. But then, he thought about Maya's school where she was finally making friends. About Mrs. Patterson, who treated his daughter like a granddaughter. About the small life they'd built in this forgotten building on the south side of Chicago. He thought about Rachel, who had told him once, "Running doesn't solve anything, Marcus. It just means the problem catches up to you when you're tired." "We're going to do what Thompsons do," Marcus said finally. "We're going to stand and fight." "I thought you said you didn't do that anymore." "I said I stopped being a soldier. That's not the same thing." He pulled back, looking into his daughter's eyes. "There's a difference between hurting people because someone tells you to, and protecting the people you love. Your mama taught me that. And she was the smartest person I ever knew. Smarter than me. Different kind of smart, baby girl. She was smart about hearts. You're smart about everything else." Maya almost smiled. "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" Marcus thought about the text on his phone. About Volkov's reach, his resources, his patience. About the 6 operators who were probably already in Chicago mapping his routes, his patterns, his vulnerabilities. "Yes," he said. "We're going to be okay. I promise." It was the first lie he'd ever told his daughter. That night, after Maya was asleep, Marcus stood on the small balcony and watched Chicago's lights blur in the distance. His phone buzzed again. Victoria Chase. "We need to talk. I know who you are, Marcus, and I know who's coming for you." Marcus typed back, "How, Victoria?" "Because I've been waiting for this moment for 6 years. Your wife wasn't the only person Sergei Volkov destroyed." The phone felt heavy in Marcus's hand. Too many coincidences. Too many connections appearing from nowhere. His phone rang. "Victoria." "What do you know about Volkov?" Marcus asked without preamble. "He killed my brother, made it look like a car accident just like your wife. That's why I built Chase Industries to get the resources to find him. And now you've done what I couldn't." "What's that?" "You've made him come out of hiding. The video, Marcus. The whole world just saw what you can do, including Volkov. He's been hunting you for 6 years, but he was too careful to make a move. Now his pride won't let him wait any longer." Marcus closed his eyes. "So I'm bait." "You're the opportunity I've been praying for. Help me take him down, and I'll make sure you and your daughter are protected for life." "I don't need your money." "I'm not offering money. I'm offering an army. Resources, intelligence, legal protection. Everything you'll need when this is over. Because it will be over, Marcus, one way or another." The wind picked up cold against his face. Marcus thought about Maya sleeping in the next room. About the promise he'd just made, the lie he'd just told. "If I do this," he said slowly, "my daughter stays out of it. Completely. She's already lost her mother. I won't risk her losing me too." "Agreed. And when it's over, I go back to being nobody. No publicity, no rewards. Just a night security guard with a mop and a pension." Victoria was silent for a moment. "That's what you really want. After everything, you just want to be invisible again." Marcus looked through the window at Maya's closed door, at the life he'd been building piece by piece from the wreckage of who he used to be. "I want to be her father," he said. "That's worth more than anything you could offer me. Then we have a deal. Come to my office tomorrow morning. We'll start planning." Marcus hung up. For a long moment, he stood in the darkness, feeling the weight of what was coming settle onto his shoulders. Behind him, a small voice said, "Daddy." He turned. Maya stood in the doorway, her elephant clutched to her chest, her eyes wide. "Why aren't you sleeping, baby girl?" I had a bad dream. About Mama. Marcus crossed to her, scooping her up, even though she was getting too big to carry. She wrapped her arms around his neck and held on tight. What happened in the dream? She said to tell you something. She said to remember that you're not what you did. You're what you do next. Marcus's throat closed up. Rachel had said that to him once, the night he'd told her about Syria. The night he'd finally confessed the weight he carried. Your mama was right, he said softly. She was always right. Daddy, are you crying? No, baby girl, just got something in my eye. You're lying. Yeah, I am. He carried her back to bed, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. But that's okay. Sometimes grown-ups cry. It doesn't mean we're not strong. I know. Maya's eyes were already closing. Mama cried sometimes too, but she was the strongest person in the whole world. Second strongest, Marcus corrected. You're the strongest now. Maya smiled in the darkness. Within minutes, her breathing evened out. Marcus watched her sleep for a long time, thinking about choices, about consequences, about the man he'd been and the man he was trying to become. Then he walked to his closet and pulled out a footlocker he hadn't opened in 3 years. Inside were the tools of his old trade weapons gear, things designed for one purpose. He didn't want to touch them, didn't want to remember what they felt like in his hands. But his daughter was sleeping 20 feet away, and somewhere in the darkness, Sergei Volkov was coming. Marcus Thompson. Father night security guard, invisible man, opened the footlocker and began to remember who he used to be. The footlocker smelled like gun oil and regret. Marcus lifted the lid and stared at the contents he'd sworn never to touch again. A Sig Sauer P226 broken down and wrapped in oiled cloth. 3 combat knives, each one balanced for throwing. A tactical vest that still bore the faded stains of blood he'd never been able to wash out completely. And at the bottom, beneath everything else, a photograph. He didn't want to look at the photograph. Hadn't looked at it in 3 years. But his hands moved on their own, lifting it into the dim light of his bedroom. 8 men stood in front of a mud brick building somewhere in Syria. They were smiling, arms around each other's shoulders, looking invincible. Marcus stood in the center, 30 pounds heavier with muscle, his eyes holding a certainty he no longer recognized. 6 of those men were dead now. Daddy. Marcus nearly dropped the photograph. Maya stood in the doorway, her elephant hanging from one hand, her eyes fixed on the open footlocker. What are you doing up, baby girl? I heard noises. She padded closer, her bare feet silent on the worn carpet. What's that? Marcus closed the footlocker. Nothing, just old stuff. From when you were a soldier. Maya. I'm not a baby anymore. You can tell me things. She climbed onto his bed, settling cross-legged with the elephant in her lap. Mrs. Patterson says secrets are like splinters. The longer you leave them in, the more they hurt. Marcus sat down beside her, feeling the weight of years pressing on his chest. Some secrets are too heavy for little girls. I'm not little, I'm 8. Maya reached out and touched his hand, the one with the scar that ran from knuckle to wrist. This is from the soldier stuff, isn't it? Yes. Does it still hurt? Sometimes, when it rains. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then, Mama had a scar too, on her tummy from when I was born. She said it was her favorite scar because it meant I was real. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. Rachel had said that, hadn't she? Lying in the hospital bed, exhausted and beautiful, tracing the C-section scar with her finger, while Maya slept in her arms. Your mama was the best person I ever knew, he said. Better than you. Much better than me. I don't believe that. Maya leaned against his arm. You're pretty good too, Daddy. Even if you have scary stuff in boxes. Marcus put his arm around her, pulling her close. She smelled like the strawberry shampoo Mrs. Patterson used, like childhood and innocence and everything he was trying to protect. Maya, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago. About why you stopped being a soldier. Yes. She looked up at him, waiting. Patient. So much like Rachel, it made his heart ache. A long time ago, before you were born, I did things. Bad things. Things I thought were right at the time, but... He struggled for words that wouldn't break her. I hurt people, Maya. Some of them deserved it. Some of them didn't. And when I finally realized the difference, it was too late. Too late for what? Too late to take it back. Too late to fix what I'd broken. He took a breath. There was a mission, in a place called Syria. We were supposed to rescue hostages, good people, who'd been taken by very bad men. But the information we had was wrong. And because of that, innocent people died. Maya's hand found his and squeezed. Was it your fault? I was in charge. Everything was my fault. But you didn't mean to hurt innocent people. No, but they're still dead. That's sad, Maya said simply. But it doesn't make you bad. It makes you human. That's what Mama used to say when I made mistakes. She said humans mess up, but good humans try to fix it. Marcus stared at his daughter. 8 years old, and somehow wiser than he'd ever been. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just don't always notice because you're busy being sad. The words hit harder than any blow Marcus had ever taken. Because they were true. For 3 years, he'd been so focused on his guilt, his penance, his need to be invisible, that he'd missed what was right in front of him. I'm sorry, baby girl. For what? For being sad, for making you worry, for... Daddy? Maya's voice was firm. Stop apologizing and start fixing. That's what you always tell me. Marcus laughed a real laugh, the first one in longer than he could remember. You're right. You're absolutely right. I know, she yawned. Can I sleep in here tonight? I don't want to be alone. Yeah, baby girl, you can sleep here. She curled up on Rachel's side of the bed, a space Marcus had never let anyone occupy in 3 years. Within minutes, her breathing evened out, and she was gone to whatever dreams 8-year-olds dreamed. Marcus sat beside her for a long time, watching her sleep, thinking about the man he used to be and the man he needed to become. Then he picked up his phone and sent a text to Victoria Chase. I'll be there at 7. This ends now. Bed. The sun was barely up when Marcus walked into Chase Industries. The building looked different in the morning light, less like a monument to corporate power and more like a fortress. Security cameras tracked his movement from the parking lot to the elevator. Armed guards watched him pass, with expressions that said they'd seen the video too. Mr. Thompson? Victoria's assistant met him at the 32nd floor. Ms. Chase is expecting you. This way. The office was smaller than Marcus expected. No massive desk, no wall of achievements. Just a simple room with a conference table, multiple screens displaying data streams, and Victoria Chase standing at the window with a coffee cup in her hand. You came, she said without turning. You knew I would. I hoped. She turned and Marcus saw something in her face he hadn't noticed before. Exhaustion. The kind that came from years of chasing something that kept slipping away. Sit down. We have a lot to discuss. Marcus took a chair, but he didn't relax. 3 years of peace hadn't dulled his instincts. He was already cataloging exits, calculating response times, noting the position of every potential weapon in the room. Tell me about Volkov, he said. Victoria sat across from him, setting down her coffee with careful precision. Sergei Volkov, 53 years old, former GRU Russian military intelligence. Went private in 2009, built an arms-dealing network that spans 3 continents. Conservative estimate of his personal wealth is around $200 million. He's responsible for weapons that have killed more people than most diseases. I know his file. I want to know about him. The man, not the monster. Victoria's eyes flickered. The man and the monster are the same thing, Mr. Thompson. Volkov doesn't kill because he enjoys it. He kills because he's efficient. Human life is simply another variable in his equations. Then why does he want me so badly? I'm not worth the risk of coming out of hiding. Yes, you are. Victoria pulled up a photograph on one of the screens. Two men, younger versions of themselves, standing in front of a military vehicle. One of them was Volkov. The other, Dmitry, Marcus said quietly. Dmitry Volkov. His younger brother, 31 years old when you killed him in Syria. I didn't kill him. My team took down a convoy that was transporting weapons to ISIS. Dmitry was driving the lead vehicle. Sergei doesn't see it that way. To him, you're the man who murdered his family, and Sergei Volkov is very traditional about family. Marcus stared at the photograph. He remembered the convoy, the intelligence that said it was carrying chemical weapons precursors, the decision to strike, the explosion that had lit up the night sky. He hadn't known Dmitry's name then, hadn't thought about the driver as a person, a brother, a son. Just another target, just another mission. Your wife, he said slowly. You said Volkov killed her too. My brother, actually, David. He was investigating Volkov's network for the FBI. 6 years ago, his car went off a bridge in Virginia, ruled an accident. Victoria's voice was flat, controlled, but Marcus could hear the cracks beneath the surface. 3 months later, I received a photograph. David's car taken from above moments before it hit the water. No message. Volkov didn't need one. So this is revenge for you too. This is justice. Victoria leaned forward. I've spent 6 years building this company, accumulating resources, waiting for the right moment. Volkov is careful, patient. He doesn't make mistakes. But you're his blind spot. His pride won't let him walk away from you. So I'm bait. You're the opportunity I've been praying for. Work with me and we take him down together. Walk away and he kills you anyway. Eventually. On his terms instead of yours. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, processing. The soldier in him understood the logic. The father in him was screaming to run, to take Maya and disappear into some corner of the world where nobody would ever find them. But Maya's voice echoed in his head. Stop apologizing and start fixing. What resources do you have? He asked. Victoria smiled, not a happy smile, but the smile of someone who'd finally found an ally in a war she'd been fighting alone. Pull up the personnel files, she said to her tablet. The screens filled with photographs, service records, capabilities. 32 employees with military backgrounds, 12 with special operations experience. All vetted, all loyal, all volunteers for what's coming. Volunteers. I asked for people willing to fight. These are the ones who said yes. Marcus scanned the files. He recognized some names, soldiers who'd crossed paths with his own career. Good people. Dangerous people. The kind of people who understood that some fights were worth dying for. What about intelligence? Volkov doesn't move without surveillance. Counter-surveillance advanced teams. Already in progress. Victoria pulled up another screen. This is James Morrison, former Marine Corps intelligence analyst, now my head of cybersecurity. He's been tracking Volkov's digital footprint for the last 12 hours. A video call connected, and a black man's face appeared on the screen. He was in his late 30s, with serious eyes, and the kind of patience that came from years of watching data streams for patterns others missed. Marcus Thompson, James said. I've heard a lot about you. None of it good, I'm guessing. Depends on your definition of good. Syria was messy, but the extraction in Yemen was clean. Saved a lot of lives with that one. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Yemen. He'd almost forgotten Yemen, the operation that had gone right, the hostages who'd gone home to their families. It was easy to remember the failures, harder to remember the successes. What do you have on Volkov? He asked. Financial transactions show he's moving assets into the United States. Multiple wire transfers through shell companies, all converging on Chicago. He's also been reached out to at least 6 former Spetsnaz operators in the last 72 hours. So he's bringing a team. A small army from what I can tell. These aren't street thugs. These are Tier 1 operators with combat experience in Syria, Ukraine, everywhere that matters. Volkov isn't taking any chances. Marcus processed the information. 6 operators plus Volkov himself, against a security force that was enthusiastic but largely untested in real combat. The math wasn't good. "What's our advantage?" he asked. Victoria smiled. "You are. Volkov's obsessed with you. He's been hunting you for 6 years, and now he finally has a chance to finish it. That obsession makes him predictable. Predictably dangerous. Predictably focused. He's not going to hit your apartment with a drone strike. He's not going to poison your water supply. He wants to be there when you die. He wants to watch." Marcus thought about the text on his phone. "She'll die like her mother too." Volkov wanted him to suffer. Wanted him to feel the same loss he'd felt when Dmitri died. "My daughter," Marcus said. "She's not part of this." "Agreed. I've already arranged a safe house." "No." The word came out harder than Marcus intended. "She stays with someone I trust. Someone who isn't connected to any of this." "You don't trust me." "I don't trust anyone. Not with Maya." Victoria held his gaze for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Fair enough. But whoever watches her needs protection. Real protection, not just good intentions." Marcus thought about Mrs. Patterson. About Carl, the old janitor who'd mentioned Vietnam. About the building full of neighbors who'd never asked questions, but had always treated him with quiet respect. "I know someone," he said. "But I'll need resources. Surveillance equipment, communication devices, a response plan if things go wrong." "Done. What else?" "Time. I need to see my daughter before this starts. If something happens to me..." "Nothing's going to happen to you." "If something happens," Marcus repeated. "She needs to know why. She needs to understand that I did this for her, not in spite of her." Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then, "You really love her, don't you? More than anything." "She's the only reason I'm still alive, Ms. Chase. The only reason I didn't eat a bullet 3 years ago when Rachel died. Every night I come home and she's there, and for a few hours I get to be someone other than what I am. Someone better. That's not weakness, Mr. Thompson. That's strength. The kind that matters." Marcus stood. "I'll be back this afternoon. We can finalize the plan then." "Where are you going?" "To tell my daughter that her father might have to become a soldier again, even though he promised he never would." The school was a squat brick building that had seen better decades, but the playground was full of children laughing, running, being kids. Marcus stood at the fence, watching Maya chase her friends across the blacktop, her braids flying behind her. She was beautiful, so much like Rachel that it hurt to look at her sometimes. "Mr. Thompson." He turned to find her teacher approaching a young woman named Ms. Bradley, who'd always treated Maya with kindness, even when the other kids weren't so generous. "We need to talk," she said. "About the fight yesterday. About Maya in general." Ms. Bradley led him to a bench away from the other parents. "She's a remarkable child, Mr. Thompson. Smart, creative, empathetic. But she's also isolated. The other kids don't always know how to connect with her. She's different. She's special. But special can be lonely, especially when you're 8 years old, and your father works nights, and your mother..." Ms. Bradley stopped herself. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "It's okay." Marcus watched Maya help a smaller child who'd fallen on the playground. Watching her dust off his knees, making him laugh through his tears. "She's stronger than anyone gives her credit for." "I know. That's what worries me. Children shouldn't have to be that strong." Marcus didn't have an answer for that, because she was right. Maya carried weight no 8-year-old should carry, and it was his fault. His choices. His ghosts. "Mr. Thompson, I don't know what's happening in your life right now, but Maya's been different the last few days. Quieter. More watchful. Like she's waiting for something bad to happen." "Kids pick up on things." "Yes, they do." Ms. Bradley touched his arm. "Whatever it is, don't shut her out. She's already lost one parent. The worst thing you could do is make her feel like she's losing another. The bell rang. Children flooded toward the building, a river of backpacks and sneakers. Maya spotted Marcus at the fence, and her face lit up with a smile that reached something deep inside him. "Daddy!" She ran to him, throwing her arms around his waist. He held her tight, breathing in the smell of school lunch and playground dirt. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "You never pick me up early. Thought we could spend some time together. Just you and me." Maya's smile flickered. She was too smart, too observant. She knew something was wrong. "Is this about the soldier stuff? Let's go get ice cream. We can talk there." They walked to the small shop 3 blocks from the school, the same shop Rachel had taken Maya to every Friday when she was alive. Marcus ordered a sundae for Maya and coffee for himself, and they sat in a booth by the window watching people pass on the street. "You're leaving," Maya said. It wasn't a question. "Just for a little while. To fight the bad people." Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. "There's a man, a very dangerous man. He wants to hurt me because of things I did a long time ago, and the only way to make sure he doesn't hurt you is to stop him." "Can't the police stop him?" "The police can't help with this. He's too smart, too careful. It has to be me." Maya stirred her sundae, not eating. "Mama used to say that you were the bravest person she knew, but also the saddest. She said you carried the whole world on your shoulders because you didn't think anyone else could hold it." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Your mama knew me better than I know myself. She also said that one day you'd figure out you didn't have to carry it alone, that you'd find people to help you." Maya looked up at him with Rachel's eyes. "Did you find people, Daddy?" He thought about Victoria, about James, about the 32 employees who'd volunteered for something they barely understood. "I think so. I'm still figuring it out." "Good." Maya finally took a bite of her ice cream. "Because I don't want you to die. And I think you might if you keep trying to do everything yourself." "Maya, I'm not stupid, remember? I know this is dangerous. I know you might not come back." Her voice cracked just a little. "But I also know you have to go. Because if you don't, the bad man will come here. And I don't want him anywhere near us." Marcus moved to her side of the booth, pulling her close. She clung to him, trembling, the sundae forgotten. "I'm coming back," he said. "I promise." "Don't make promises you can't keep. Mama made that mistake." The words hit like a physical blow. Rachel had promised to always be there. Had promised to watch Maya grow up, graduate, get married. Promises that death had broken without caring about the damage. "Okay," Marcus said quietly. "No promises. But I'm gonna fight like hell to come home to you. Because you're the best thing I ever did, Maya Thompson. And I'm not done being your dad yet." Maya pulled back, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "If you do die, can I have your room? It's bigger." Marcus laughed, the sound rough with emotion. "Yeah, baby girl. If I die, you can have my room." "Good. I'm going to paint it purple." "Your mama would have loved that." "I know." Maya took another bite of ice cream, some of the weight lifting from her small shoulders. "Daddy, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "The bad man who's coming, is he the one who hurt Mama?" Marcus went still. He'd never told Maya the truth about Rachel's death. Had let her believe it was just an accident, a random tragedy in a world full of them. "Why do you ask that?" "Because you get the same face when you talk about both of them. The angry face, the one you try to hide." 8 years old, reading him like a book. "Yes," Marcus said finally. "He's the one who hurt Mama." Maya's jaw tightened in a way that reminded Marcus painfully of himself. "Good. Then you should hurt him back." "Maya, I know violence is wrong. I know you want to be better, but he took Mama from us, Daddy. He took her, and he didn't even care." Her voice was fierce now, burning with a rage that had been buried too deep for too long. So you go. You fight. And you make sure he can never hurt anyone else's mama ever again. Marcus looked at his daughter, this fierce, beautiful, broken girl who'd grown up too fast because the world had forced her to. And he realized that he wasn't just fighting for her safety. He was fighting for her future. For the chance to grow up without fear, without ghosts, without the weight of violence following her every step. "I will," he said. "I promise I'll stop him. For you, for your mama, for everyone he's ever hurt. And then you'll come home, and then I'll come home." Maya nodded, satisfied. Then she pushed the sundae toward him. "You should eat something. You always forget to eat when you're worried." Marcus took a bite, tasting nothing but sugar and memory. Rachel used to say the same thing. Used to force food into his hands after long missions, refusing to let him waste away with guilt. "I love you, baby girl." "I love you too, Daddy. Now finish your ice cream. We have a lot to do." That night, Marcus sat in Carl's apartment explaining the situation in terms the old janitor could understand. "So, let me get this straight," Carl said, pouring whiskey into 2 glasses. "Russian arms dealer wants you dead. You're going to fight him instead of running. And you need me to watch your daughter while you do it. That's about the size of it." Carl handed him a glass, then sat in his worn recliner with a grunt. "Son, I've seen a lot of stupid in my 73 years. This might be the stupidest." "Probably. But it's also the bravest. Man who'll fight to protect his family instead of running, that's a man worth respecting." Carl took a sip of whiskey. "Vietnam taught me that. Sometimes you can't run. Sometimes you have to stand and fight even when the odds are garbage." "The odds are definitely garbage." "Then you better make sure they're garbage in your favor." Carl reached under his chair and pulled out a worn case. Inside was a Colt 1911, well-maintained, despite its age. "Carried this in Da Nang. Still shoots straight." "Carl, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking, I'm volunteering." The old man's eyes were sharp, clear. Not the eyes of a retired janitor, but of a soldier who'd never really stopped being one. "That little girl is the closest thing I have to a granddaughter. Anyone who wants to hurt her is going to have to come through me first." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. 3 years of being alone, and now he was surrounded by people willing to fight for him, willing to die for him. It was terrifying and humbling, and exactly what he needed. "Thank you, Carl. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when it's over, and we're all still breathing." Carl raised his glass. "To the ones who can't run, and the ones who won't." Marcus raised his glass in return. "To the ones we're fighting for." They drank in silence, 2 soldiers from different wars preparing for the battle to come. Outside Chicago hummed with the sounds of a city that didn't know what was coming. And somewhere in the darkness, Sergei Volkov was making final preparations for a confrontation 6 years in the making. The countdown had begun. The whiskey burned going down, but Marcus barely noticed. His mind was already 3 steps ahead, running scenarios, calculating odds, preparing for a fight he wasn't sure he could win. "Tell me something," Carl said, refilling their glasses. "This Russian, he's been hunting you for 6 years. Why now? Why come out of hiding after all this time?" "Pride." Marcus swirled the amber liquid in his glass. "I embarrassed him by surviving this long. And now that video, the whole world saw what I can do. He can't let that stand. His reputation depends on finishing what he started." Reputation matters that much to these people. Reputation is everything. In his world, if you can't kill one man who's been hiding in plain sight for 6 years, you're weak. And weak people don't last long in the arms trade. Carl grunted. "Sounds like the brass I knew in Nam. More worried about looking good than doing good." Marcus's phone buzzed. James Morrison's number. "Thompson? We've got movement." James's voice was tight, controlled. 3 of Volkov's operatives just landed at O'Hare. Different flights, different airlines, but they all arrived within 2 hours of each other. Identification: Running facial recognition now. First hit is Alexei Petrov, former Spetsnaz Alpha Group. Second is Yuri Kozlov, same unit. Third is still processing, but based on his movement patterns, I'd say he's the advanced scout. Marcus stood pacing Karl's small living room. What about Volkov himself? No sign yet, but that's expected. He won't show until his team confirms your location and establishes a perimeter. My guess is 48 hours before he arrives personally. That's not much time. No, it's not. James paused. Marcus, there's something else. We intercepted a communication between Petrov and an unknown contact. They mentioned a secondary target. Marcus's blood went cold. Maya. They didn't use her name. Just said the package needs to be secured before the primary operation. That could mean anything, but it means my daughter. Marcus was already moving toward the door. Where is she now? At your apartment. Mrs. Patterson is with her. Get eyes on that building. Now. Already done. I've got 2 of Victoria's security people in unmarked vehicles. Nothing moves within 3 blocks without us knowing. Marcus stopped forcing himself to breathe. Panic wouldn't help Maya. Only action would. Karl, I need to go. The old man was already on his feet, reaching for his jacket. I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Boy, I just told you that little girl is family. You think I'm going to sit here drinking whiskey while family's in danger? Karl grabbed his Colt from the case. Let's move. They drove through Chicago's night streets in silence, Marcus pushing his old truck past the speed limit. His hands were steady on the wheel, but his mind was racing. 48 hours. Maybe less. And Volkov's people were already in the city, already watching, already planning. You've done this before, Karl said. It wasn't a question. Done what? Gone into a fight knowing you might not come out. I can see it in you, the way you're breathing, the way your hands aren't shaking even though they should be. Marcus glanced at the old man. What's your point? My point is that you're not scared of dying. You're scared of leaving her alone. That's different. That's worse in some ways. She's already lost her mother. I won't let her lose me too. Then don't. Karl checked his pistol with practiced hands. But also don't be stupid. Hero plays get people killed. I've seen it happen. I'm not trying to be a hero. No, you're trying to be a father. Sometimes, that's the same thing. They reached the apartment building to find Mrs. Patterson waiting in the lobby. Her face creased with worry. Marcus, thank God. Maya's been asking for you all evening. She knows something's wrong. Where is she? Upstairs. I tried to distract her with homework, but that child sees through everything. Marcus took the stairs 2 at a time, Karl following close behind. When he opened the apartment door, Maya was sitting on the couch, her elephant clutched to her chest, eyes fixed on the entrance like she'd been waiting for hours. Daddy. He crossed to her in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. She held on tight, her small body trembling against his. I heard Mrs. Patterson on the phone, Maya whispered. She said bad men were coming. They're not here yet, baby girl, and they're not going to get anywhere near you. Promise. Marcus pulled back, looking into her eyes. I promise. But I need you to do something for me. Something important. What? You're going to stay with Mr. Karl for a few days. Just until this is over. Maya's grip tightened. I don't want to leave you. I know, but I can't fight if I'm worried about you. And I need to fight Maya. I need to make sure these people can never hurt anyone again. The man who hurt Mama. Yes. Him and his friends. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded, her jaw set in that stubborn way that was so much like Rachel's. Okay. I'll go with Mr. Karl. But you have to promise me something too. Anything. Promise you'll come back. Not the fake kind of promise. The real kind. The kind Mama used to make before she broke them all. The words cut deep, but Marcus didn't flinch. I promise, Maya. The real kind. I'm coming back to you. You better. She hugged him one more time, then stepped back and took Carl's hand. "Okay, Mr. Carl, let's go." The old man looked at Marcus with something like respect. "I'll keep her safe, son. You have my word." "I know you will." Marcus watched them go, Maya's small figure disappearing down the hallway. When the elevator doors closed, he allowed himself one moment of weakness. One moment where the fear and doubt came crashing in like a wave. Then he pushed it all down and got to work. His phone rang. Victoria. "They're moving faster than we expected," she said without preamble. James intercepted another communication. "Volkov's team is establishing surveillance positions around your building as we speak." "I know. I can feel them watching." "You need to get out of there. Come to the company headquarters. We can protect you better here." "No. If I run, they'll know something's wrong. They'll adjust their plan and we'll lose whatever advantage we have." "Marcus, I'm staying. Let them watch. Let them think I don't know they're here. When Volkov arrives, he'll expect an easy target. That's when we hit him." Victoria was silent for a moment. "You're using yourself as bait." "It's the only play we have. Volkov's too smart to walk into a trap. But if he thinks I'm vulnerable, if he thinks he has the upper hand, he'll get careless. Everyone gets careless eventually, even ghosts. And if he doesn't, if he sees through it." Marcus walked to his window, looking out at the street below. Somewhere out there, men with guns were watching him, planning his death, calculating the best way to make him suffer. "Then I die fighting. Better than dying running." He hung up before Victoria could argue. There was work to do. The next 36 hours passed in a blur of preparation and paranoia. Marcus went through his routines like nothing had changed: morning shift at Chase Industries, afternoon errands, evening at home. But underneath the surface, he was mapping every vehicle that didn't belong, every face that appeared too often, every shadow that moved wrong. James fed him information through a secure channel. 6 operatives confirmed, plus an unknown number of local hires. They'd established a command post in an abandoned warehouse 3 miles from Marcus's building. Volkov himself was still off the grid, but intercepts suggested he'd arrive within 24 hours. "He's being careful," James said during their latest call. "Too careful. He knows you're not just some random target. He knows what I used to be." Which makes this personal for him in ways that go beyond his brother. "You represent everything he hates: American special operations, the wars that disrupted his business, the people who made his life difficult. Killing you isn't just revenge, it's a statement." Then let's make sure it's a statement he never gets to make. That night, Marcus stood in Victoria's office surrounded by screens showing surveillance feeds from across the city. The team she'd assembled was impressive. 12 former military, all with special operations backgrounds, all volunteers who understood the risks. "Marathon route," Victoria said, pointing to a map on the main screen. "Volkov's been tracking your patterns for days. He knows you run every morning, same route, same time. The Chicago Marathon is in 3 days. Thousands of runners, massive crowds, maximum chaos. Perfect cover for an assassination." "Exactly. But also perfect cover for us." Victoria highlighted several points along the route. "We position our people here, here, and here. When Volkov makes his move, we close the trap. He won't come alone. We know. That's why we're not trying to take him in the crowd. We let him think he's winning, let him commit to the attack. Then we funnel him toward the extraction point, the Chase Industries building, at mile marker 18. Marcus studied the map, calculating angles, escape routes, potential problems. He'll see it coming. Not if you give him what he wants. What does he want? Victoria met his eyes. You, alone, vulnerable, running through a crowd with no backup, no protection, the perfect target. So I'm the bait. You're the only bait that will work. Volkov's obsessed with you, Marcus. He won't delegate this to his team. He'll want to be there when you die. He'll want to pull the trigger himself. And that's his weakness. That's his weakness. Marcus walked to the window, looking out at Chicago's skyline. Somewhere in this city, Sergei Volkov was making final preparations for a confrontation 6 years in the making. Somewhere men with guns were cleaning their weapons, checking their gear, reviewing the plan to kill a night security guard who used to be something else. "I have conditions," Marcus said. "Name them." "My daughter stays out of this. Completely. If anything goes wrong, Carl takes her somewhere safe, and she never looks back." "Agreed." "Second, if I die, you finish this. Volkov doesn't walk away. Whatever it takes, whatever it costs, you end him." Victoria's jaw tightened. "I've been waiting 6 years for this. He's not walking away." "Third, when it's over, I disappear. No publicity, no rewards, no acknowledgement. I go back to being nobody, just a night security guard with a mop and a pension." "You really want that after everything?" Marcus thought about Maya, about the life he'd been building from the ashes of who he used to be. "I want to be her father. That's enough." "Then we have a deal." They shook hands, and Marcus felt the weight of what was coming settle onto his shoulders. 2 days until the marathon. 2 days until he faced the man who'd killed his wife. 2 days until this ended one way or another. The phone in his pocket buzzed. A text from Maya sent through Carl's phone. "Can't sleep. Miss you, Daddy. Mr. Carl is snoring really loud." Marcus typed back, "I miss you too, baby girl. Try counting sheep." "Sheep are boring. I'm counting bad guys instead. So far, I got 6. He laughed despite everything. "That's my girl. Get some sleep. I love you." "Love you more. Come home soon." Marcus stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he put the phone away and turned to Victoria. "Let's go over the plan again. I want to know every angle, every contingency, every possible thing that could go wrong." "That could take all night." "Good. I wasn't planning on sleeping anyway." They worked until dawn, refining the strategy, addressing weaknesses, preparing for variables they couldn't predict. By the time the sun rose over Chicago, Marcus had memorized every detail, every signal, every backup plan. But as he walked out of Chase Industries into the morning light, his phone buzzed again. An unknown number this time. "Hello, Marcus." The voice was thick with a Russian accent. Cold, patient, familiar from 100 intelligence briefings. "Volkov. You know I've been watching you for 3 days now. You're very predictable. Same routes, same schedules, same sad little life in that sad little apartment." Marcus kept walking, his voice steady. "If you wanted to kill me, you would have done it already." "True. But where's the satisfaction in that? I didn't come all this way just to put a bullet in you from a rooftop. I came to watch you suffer, to take everything from you piece by piece, the way you took everything from me." "I didn't take anything from you. Your brother was transporting weapons to terrorists. He made his choice. And you made yours. When you gave the order that killed him." Volkov's voice hardened. "Do you know what my brother's last words were? He called me. From the burning vehicle. Said he loved me. Said he was sorry. And then the line went dead." Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. He'd never thought about Dimitri's final moments. Had never considered that the faceless driver might have had a family, a brother, someone who loved him. "I'm sorry for your loss," Marcus said. "I mean that. But killing me won't bring him back." "No, but it will balance the scales." Volkov paused. "Your wife died well, by the way. Quick, clean. I made sure of that. Professional courtesy." Marcus's hand tightened around the phone. "If you touch my daughter..." "Your daughter is safe, for now. I don't kill children, Marcus. I'm not a monster. But she will be an orphan before the week is out. I promise you that." "You're not as smart as you think you are, Volkov. You're not the only one who's been watching." "Oh, I know about your little team. The billionaire woman and her amateur soldiers. Very impressive on paper, less impressive in reality." Volkov chuckled. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice? My people have been tracking your preparations since you started making them." Marcus's blood ran cold. "You're bluffing." "Am I Victoria Chase, former Israeli military training. Lost a brother to a car accident 6 years ago. Currently funding a private intelligence operation out of her company headquarters. Volkov's voice dropped. I've been watching her too, Marcus. Long before you became interesting again. Then you know what's coming for you. I know what you think is coming. But here's the thing about plans, they never survive contact with reality. And reality is that I have more men, more resources, and more reasons to win than you do. Maybe, but I have something you don't. What's that? Nothing left to lose. Volkov was quiet for a moment. Then, we'll see about that. Enjoy your last few days, Marcus. Make peace with your God, because when I'm finished with you, not even he will be able to put you back together. The line went dead. Marcus stood on the sidewalk, the morning traffic flowing past him like he wasn't there. His hands were shaking now, not with fear, but with rage. The cold, calculated kind that had served him well in places where emotion meant death. His phone rang again. James, tell me you traced that call. Partial trace. He's using a satellite relay bouncing the signal through 6 different countries. But I got a location window somewhere in the financial district, probably within a 2-mile radius of your position. He's close. He wants you to know he's close. It's psychological warfare, Marcus. He's trying to get inside your head. It's working. Then push back. Don't let him control the narrative. He called you, which means he's anxious. He wants this over with. That's leverage we can use. Marcus forced himself to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The same technique Rachel used to use when the nightmares got bad. Any change in his team's positioning? They're tightening the perimeter around your building. I count 8 surveillance posts now, plus mobile units. He's not taking any chances. What about the marathon route? Still clear, but I'm expecting that to change. He's probably holding his best people in reserve for the main event. Marcus started walking again, heading back toward Chase Industries. I need to see Victoria. We need to adjust the plan. Marcus. James's voice softened. I know this is personal for you. What he did to your wife. Don't. I have to. Because if you go into this looking for revenge, you'll make mistakes. And mistakes will get people killed. Not just you, your team, Victoria. Everyone who's betting on you to keep a clear head. I'm not looking for revenge. Then what are you looking for? Marcus thought about the question. Really thought about it for the first time since this whole thing started. Justice, he said finally. For Rachel. For all the people he's hurt. For my daughter who deserves to grow up without looking over her shoulder. Justice isn't the same as revenge. I know. Marcus paused at a crosswalk, watching the light change. Revenge would be making him suffer, making him feel what I felt when Rachel died. But that's not what I want. What do you want? I want him to stop, that's all. I just want him to stop hurting people. And if the only way to stop him is to kill him. The light turned green. Marcus stepped into the street, moving with the flow of pedestrians who had no idea what was happening around them. Then I kill him, he said. Not because I want to, not because it feels good, but because some people can't be stopped any other way. That's a heavy burden to carry. I've been carrying heavy burdens my whole life. One more won't break me. He hung up and kept walking, the weight of what was coming pressing down on him like a physical thing. 48 hours until the marathon. 48 hours until he faced Sergei Volkov for the last time. 48 hours until he found out if he could be the man Maya needed him to be. That night, Marcus visited Rachel's grave for the second time in a week. The cemetery was quiet, the only sound the wind rustling through the trees and the distant hum of traffic. Hey, baby, he said, kneeling by her headstone. I know I was just here, but things are moving fast now. Faster than I expected. He placed a small bouquet of flowers, the same kind he'd given her on their first date. Purple irises, her favorite. Volkov called today. He wanted me to know he's here, wanted me to be afraid. Marcus traced the letters of her name carved in stone. I am afraid. Not of dying, but of leaving Maya the way you left us, alone, broken, trying to put the pieces back together without understanding why they fell apart. The wind picked up cold against his face. I've been thinking about what you used to say, about how violence is a cycle, how it keeps going until someone decides to break it. I think that's what I'm trying to do. Break the cycle. End it here with Volkov so Maya doesn't have to keep running from shadows her whole life. He closed his eyes, remembering Rachel's face, her laugh, the way she used to hold him after nightmares, never asking what he'd dreamed about, just being there. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, Rachel. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. But I promise on everything I have left, I will protect our daughter. Whatever it takes. Whatever it costs. He stood brushing dirt from his knees. If I don't make it through this, watch over her. Help her understand that her father tried. That he wasn't just a soldier, wasn't just a killer. That he was a man who loved his family more than anything in the world. Marcus touched the headstone one last time, then turned and walked away. Behind him, the wind scattered flower petals across Rachel's grave like whispered prayers. The countdown continued. Marathon morning arrived with the kind of cold that cut through layers and settled into bones. Marcus stood at the starting line among 20,000 runners anonymous in the crowd, just another face among the masses. His earpiece crackled. All positions confirmed, James reported. We've got eyes on 8 of Volkov's operatives spread along the route. Still no visual on Volkov himself. He's here, Marcus said quietly, stretching like any other runner preparing for the race. I can feel him. Feeling isn't the same as knowing. In my line of work, it's close enough. Victoria's voice cut in. Marcus, we've got movement. Black SUV just pulled into the parking structure at mile marker 16. Tinted windows, no plates. That's him. We can't confirm. It's him. He wants to be close when it happens. Wants to see my face when his people move in. The starting gun fired, and the crowd surged forward. Marcus let himself be carried along, matching the pace of the runners around him. His body moved on autopilot while his mind cataloged everything: faces in the crowd, vehicles on the side streets, the positions of his own team scattered along the route. Mile 1 passed, then 2, then 3. First contact point coming up, James said. 2 operatives stationed near the water station at mile 4. They're trying to look casual, but their positioning gives them away. Marcus spotted them immediately. 2 men in civilian clothes who stood too straight, watched too carefully. Former military. Probably Spetsnaz, like Volkov had promised. He ran past them, without slowing, letting them see his face. Letting them report back to their boss. They've made you, James confirmed. Comms just lit up. Volkov knows exactly where you are. Good, that's the point. Mile 5, mile 6. The crowd thinned slightly as runners spread out according to their pace. Marcus kept to the middle, surrounded by enough people to make a sniper shot risky, but not impossible. Victoria, how's our coverage? Solid. Sarah's team is paralleling you on the north side. Alex has the south. We've got 3 vehicles ready for extraction at mile marker 18. And if extraction isn't possible, then we improvise. But Marcus, try not to make us improvise. I hate improvising. Mile 8 brought the first hint of trouble. A runner beside Marcus stumbled, fell, and didn't get up. The crowd parted around him, some people stopping to help, others continuing past, with barely a glance. Marcus slowed instinct, screaming that something was wrong. The fallen runner was young, athletic, the kind of person who shouldn't collapse at mile 8 of a marathon. James, I need eyes on the runner who just went down, 30 feet behind my position. Checking. Marcus, that's not a real runner. No registration, no bib number. He's one of Volkov's. A decoy. Probably trying to get you to stop. Create a choke point for... The first shot came from somewhere to Marcus's left. A runner 10 feet ahead of him dropped, blood spraying from his shoulder. Screaming erupted. Chaos followed. Contact. Marcus dove toward the nearest car, using it for cover as more shots rang out. Where's it coming from? Rooftop northwest corner. We've got a sniper. I thought you said the route was clear. It was. He must have moved in after our sweep. James's voice was tight. Sarah's team is responding, but they're 3 blocks out. More shots, more screaming. Runners scattered in every direction, the orderly marathon dissolving into panic. Marcus pressed himself against the car, mind racing through options. Victoria, I need an exit. Working on it. Alex is bringing a vehicle to your position, but the streets are chaos. 2 minutes. I don't have 2 minutes. A bullet punched through the car's window, showering Marcus with glass. The sniper had him pinned exactly as Volkov planned. Then a new voice came through his earpiece. Deep, calm, Russian. Hello again, Marcus. Volkov had hacked their communications. Of course he had. I have to admit, I'm impressed. You knew I was coming. You prepared. You even assembled a little team of heroes to protect you. Volkov's laugh was cold. But here's the thing about heroes, they always think the good guys win. They always forget that in the real world, preparation means nothing against superior firepower. Where are you, Volkov? Close. Watching. Enjoying the show. Another shot hit the car inches from Marcus's head. My sniper is very good. Former SVR. He could kill you right now if I gave the order. But I want to see your face when you realize how badly you've failed. Marcus scanned the rooftops looking for the shooter. Found him a silhouette against the morning sky, rifle trained on Marcus's position. You're not going to win this, Volkov. Even if you kill me, Victoria will finish what I started. Victoria Chase. The woman who thinks she can avenge her brother with money and technology. Volkov's contempt was palpable. She's nothing. A rich woman playing soldier. When this is over, I'll destroy her too. But first, I want you to watch something. Marcus's blood went cold. What are you talking about? Check your phone, Marcus. I sent you a gift. With shaking hands, Marcus pulled out his phone. A video was waiting live feed from somewhere he didn't recognize at first. Then the camera moved, and he saw Carl's apartment, the safe house where Maya was supposed to be protected. The camera showed Carl on the floor, bleeding from a wound on his head. And standing over him, holding Maya by the arm, was a man in black tactical gear. No. The word came out as a whisper. You said you don't kill children. I don't, but I never said I wouldn't take them. Volkov's voice hardened. Here's how this is going to work, Marcus. You're going to stand up. You're going to walk to the corner of 5th and Madison. And you're going to let my people take you. If you resist, if your team interferes, if anyone tries to be a hero, my man puts a bullet in your daughter's head. Maya's face filled the screen. She was crying, but her eyes were fierce, defiant, so much like her mother. Don't do it, Daddy, she screamed. Don't let them. The feed cut out. Marcus's hands were shaking. His whole body was shaking. 3 years of peace, of building a new life, of trying to be something other than a weapon, all of it crashing down around him. Marcus! Victoria's voice was urgent. Marcus, talk to me. He has Maya. Silence on the line. Then, how we had security on Carl's building. It doesn't matter how, he has her. Marcus stood slowly, hands raised. I'm going to the extraction point. Don't interfere. Marcus, you can't. He'll kill her, Victoria. You know he will. Whatever happens to me doesn't matter. My daughter matters. He started walking, the sniper's rifle tracking his every step. Around him, the marathon chaos continued, police arriving, medics treating the wounded, runners being evacuated. None of it mattered. Nothing mattered except the little girl with Rachel's smile who was depending on him to save her. Marcus, wait. James's voice. I'm tracking the video feed. It's being broadcast from a location 3 miles from your position, warehouse district near the lake. That's where they'll take me. That's where we can hit them. Give me 15 minutes to reposition our team. Maya doesn't have 15 minutes. You heard Volkov. Any interference and she dies. So you're just going to surrender. Let him kill you. Marcus reached the corner of 5th and Madison. A black van was waiting, side door open, 3 armed men standing guard. I'm going to do what fathers do. Marcus said quietly. I'm going to protect my daughter, whatever that costs. Marcus! He pulled out his earpiece and crushed it under his boot. Whatever happened next, he was on his own. The armed men searched him roughly, taking his phone, his weapons, his body armor. They zip-tied his hands behind his back and shoved him into the van. The door slammed shut, and they started moving. In the darkness, Marcus began to plan. Volkov was smart, but he was also arrogant. He'd wanted this confrontation for 6 years, wanted to see Marcus broken, helpless, defeated. That arrogance was a weakness. A small one, but in Marcus's experience, small weaknesses were enough. The van drove for what felt like hours, but was probably 20 minutes. When the doors opened again, Marcus found himself in a cavernous warehouse, the kind of place that used to hold manufacturing equipment, but now held nothing but shadows and the smell of rust. And standing in the center with Maya, held firmly by one of his men, was Sergei Volkov. He looked older than his photographs. Grayer. But his eyes were the same dead-cold, calculating. The eyes of a man who'd traded his humanity for efficiency a long time ago. Marcus Thompson. Volkov spread his arms like a host welcoming a guest. Finally, after all these years. Let her go, Volkov. This is between us. It is between us. But she's insurance. You understand insurance, don't you? The concept of holding something valuable to ensure compliance. Marcus's eyes found Maya. She was terrified he could see it in the way she held herself, the trembling of her small body. But she was also watching, thinking, looking for opportunities. That's my girl, Marcus thought, just like her mother. What do you want? Marcus asked. You've got me. Let her go and you can do whatever you want. What I want is for you to understand. Volkov moved closer, circling Marcus like a predator sizing up prey. 6 years ago you gave an order. A simple order from your perspective. Destroy the convoy. Eliminate the threat. You probably didn't even think about the people inside those vehicles. They were just targets, just objectives. They were transporting weapons to terrorists. They were doing a job, just like you were doing a job, just like I was doing a job. Volkov stopped in front of Marcus, their faces inches apart. My brother didn't deserve to die. He was a good man, kind, gentle. He only worked with me because I convinced him there was no other way. Plenty of people don't deserve to die. That's what war is. War. Volkov spat the word. You Americans love that word. It justifies everything, doesn't it? Every civilian casualty, every destroyed family, every orphaned child. All of it acceptable because you call it war. I never said it was acceptable. I said it was real. There's a difference. Volkov's hand shot out, grabbing Marcus by the throat. My brother called me as he was burning to death. Did you know that? He called me to say goodbye, and all I could do was listen as he screamed. Daddy! Maya's voice cut through the warehouse. Volkov's grip tightened, then released. He stepped back, composing himself with visible effort. Your daughter loves you, he said. That's obvious. She has spirit. Reminds me of Dmitri, actually. He had spirit too before you turned him into ash. Kill me if you're going to kill me, but let her go first. She's 8 years old, Volkov. She hasn't done anything to you. No, she hasn't. But you have. Volkov pulled a pistol from his jacket, a Makarov Russian military standard. I'm not going to kill her, Marcus. I told you that. But I am going to make her watch while I kill you. And then she's going to grow up knowing that her father died because he made the wrong enemies. Like you grew up knowing your brother died because he made the wrong choices. The pistol came up fast, pressing against Marcus's forehead. Choose your next words very carefully. Marcus met Volkov's eyes without flinching. I'm sorry about your brother. I mean that. I've thought about him more than you know. About all the people who died because of orders I gave. They haunt me, Volkov. Every single one. Good. They should. But killing me won't bring Dmitri back. It won't make you feel better. It won't fill whatever hole his death left in you. I know because I've been there. When my wife died, when your people killed her, I wanted revenge more than I wanted to breathe. I dreamed about finding you, about making you suffer the way I was suffering. And now I just want it to stop. The killing. The revenge. The endless cycle of violence that takes and takes and takes without ever giving anything back. Marcus's voice cracked. I want my daughter to grow up in a world where people don't die because of mistakes made by men like us. I want her to have a future that isn't defined by the past. Pretty words. Volkov's finger tightened on the trigger. But words don't bring back the dead. No, they don't. Nothing does. Marcus looked at Maya one last time. But we can choose what happens next. We can choose to stop, right here, right now. You think I came all this way to stop? I think you came all this way because you're tired, just like me. I think you've been carrying your brother's death for 6 years and it's eating you alive. I think you want this to be over almost as much as I do. Something flickered in Volkov's eyes, just for a moment. A crack in the armor he'd built around himself. Then the crack sealed, and the coldness returned. You're wrong. He raised the pistol. I came here to finish what I started. Goodbye, Marcus Tom. The explosion rocked the warehouse, blowing out windows and sending everyone staggering. Marcus didn't waste the moment. His hands were bound, but his legs weren't. He swept Volkov's feet out from under him, sending the Russian crashing to the concrete floor. Maya, run. Another explosion. Gunfire erupting from multiple directions. Victoria's team had found them somehow, despite everything they'd tracked the van, and mounted a rescue. Marcus rolled toward Volkov, who was already scrambling for his dropped pistol. Their hands reached it at the same time, struggling for control. Volkov was strong, trained, vicious, but Marcus had something he didn't: a reason to live. He headbutted Volkov, feeling the Russian's nose crunch under the impact. Volkov's grip loosened. Marcus twisted the pistol free and swung it hard across Volkov's temple. The Russian went down. Not unconscious, but dazed. Bleeding. Marcus stood over him, the pistol pointed at his head. His hands were steady now. All the fear, all the doubt, all the uncertainty had burned away, leaving nothing but clarity. One shot. That's all it would take. One shot, and it would be over. Rachel avenged. Maya safe forever. Justice served. Daddy? Maya's voice. Close now. She'd gotten free somehow, and she was running toward him through the chaos of the firefight. Stay back, baby girl. Daddy, don't. Marcus looked at his daughter, then at Volkov, who was watching him with something that might have been respect. Do it, Volkov whispered. Finish this. No. The word surprised both of them. No. Volkov laughed, blood bubbling from his broken nose. You have me, right here. The man who killed your wife, the man who took everything from you, and you're not going to pull the trigger. I'm not going to kill you in front of my daughter. I'm not going to teach her that this is how problems get solved. Marcus lowered the pistol. And I'm not going to become you. Not today. Not ever. Then you're a fool. Maybe. Marcus stepped back as Victoria's people swarmed into the warehouse, securing Volkov's men, calling for medical support. But I'm a fool who gets to go home to his daughter tonight. Can you say the same? Volkov had no answer for that. Victoria appeared at Marcus's side, cutting the zip ties from his wrists. Medical's on the way. You're hurt. Marcus looked down at himself. Blood was soaking through his shirt from wounds he hadn't noticed taking. The adrenaline was starting to fade, and the pain was starting to arrive. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're shot in at least 2 places. Victoria grabbed his arm as he swayed. Marcus, stay with me. Maya. Where's Maya? I'm here, Daddy. She slammed into him, small arms wrapping around his waist, face buried in his bloody shirt. He held her tight, feeling her heartbeat against his chest, feeling the reality of her presence anchor him to the world. "You came back," she sobbed. "I promised, didn't I? The real kind of promise. The real kind." He stroked her braids with a shaking hand. "I'm never leaving you again, baby girl. Never." Around them, the warehouse had become a scene of controlled chaos. Volkov's operatives were being zip-tied and led away. Medical personnel were treating the wounded. Federal agents were arriving. James must have called them in. Marcus watched as two agents hauled Volkov to his feet. The Russian's face was a mask of blood and bruises, but his eyes found Marcus across the distance. "This isn't over," Volkov called out. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." "Maybe," Marcus called back. "But killing you was never going to fix anything. It was just going to create more violence, more revenge, more orphans growing up without their fathers." He pulled Maya closer. "The cycle stops here. With us. Today." Volkov stared at him for a long moment. Then something shifted in his expression, not respect exactly, but something close to it. "You're a strange man, Marcus Thompson." "So I've been told." The agents led Volkov away. Marcus watched until the Russian disappeared through the warehouse doors, probably forever. Then his legs gave out, and the world went dark. He woke in an ambulance, Maya's hand gripping his Victoria's face, hovering above him. "Stay awake," Victoria ordered. "You've lost a lot of blood." "Volkov. Federal custody. He's not getting out, not ever." James made sure the right people had all the right evidence: arms dealing, terrorism, financing multiple murders across 3 countries. He's done. "Carl. Concussion. He'll be okay. He's already demanding to see Maya." Marcus turned his head to look at his daughter. She was pale, exhausted, clearly traumatized, but she was alive. She was safe. She was here. "How did you find us?" he asked Victoria. "Maya." Victoria smiled despite everything. "She had a tracker sewn into her elephant, some device her mother gave her years ago. We followed the signal right to the warehouse." Marcus looked at Maya. "Your mama gave you a tracker." "She said it was for emergencies." Maya squeezed his hand. "She said if I was ever in trouble, Daddy would find me." She was right. Rachel. Even from beyond the grave, she was still protecting their family. "That's my girl," Marcus whispered. "Both of you. That's my girls." The ambulance doors closed, and they started moving. Through the small window, Marcus could see Chicago's skyline sliding past the city where he'd tried to disappear, where he'd built a new life from the ashes of the old one, where he'd almost lost everything and somehow managed to keep what mattered most. "Daddy." Maya's voice was small, uncertain. "Yeah, baby girl. Is it over? For real this time?" Marcus thought about the question. About Volkov in custody. About the network that would collapse without him. About the choices he'd made and the ones still to come. "Yeah," he said finally. "It's over. For real this time." Maya leaned her head against his shoulder, exhaustion finally catching up with her. "Good," she murmured. "Because I really want to go home." "Me too, baby girl." Marcus closed his eyes, letting the rhythm of the ambulance carry him toward whatever came next. "Me too." The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and flowers. Marcus had been counting ceiling tiles for 3 days now, 247 in total, arranged in a grid pattern that reminded him of mission planning boards from another life. "You're doing that thing again," Maya said from the chair beside his bed. "What thing?" "The counting thing. You always count things when you're bored." Marcus turned his head to look at his daughter. She was curled up with her elephant, the one that had saved both their lives, reading a book that looked too advanced for an 8-year-old. "What are you reading?" "The Art of War. Ms. Chase gave it to me." "Victoria gave you Sun Tzu." "She said it's about strategy, not fighting. She said the best generals are the ones who win without having to fight at all." Maya looked up from the pages. Is that true? Marcus thought about the warehouse, about holding Volkov at gunpoint and choosing not to pull the trigger, about the wars he'd fought and the ones he'd walked away from. Yeah, baby girl, that's true. The door opened and Victoria walked in carrying a tablet and wearing an expression that mixed business with something softer. She'd been visiting every day, sometimes for hours, filling Marcus in on developments while Maya did homework in the corner. Good news, Victoria said. Federal prosecutors just confirmed Volkov's pleading guilty to 17 counts, including conspiracy to commit murder weapons trafficking and terrorism financing. He's looking at 4 consecutive life sentences, no possibility of parole. He took the deal. He didn't have a choice. James's evidence was overwhelming, and apparently, spending 3 days in federal custody made him cooperative. Victoria smiled slightly. Something about finally understanding what it feels like to have no power. Marcus let that sink in. Volkov, the man who'd haunted his nightmares for 6 years, who'd killed Rachel, who'd threatened Maya, was going to spend the rest of his life in a concrete box. No revenge, no final confrontation, just justice, slow and certain. How do you feel? Victoria asked. Empty, Marcus admitted. I thought I'd feel, I don't know, relieved, vindicated, something. You expected closure? I expected something. Victoria sat on the edge of his bed, careful to avoid his bandaged torso. Closure is a myth, Marcus. I've been chasing it for 6 years, ever since David died. I thought taking down Volkov would fill the hole my brother left, but it doesn't work that way. Then what does? Living, building something new, finding reasons to wake up that have nothing to do with the past. She glanced at Maya, who was pretending to read, but clearly listening. You've got the most important reason right there. Marcus followed her gaze. Maya looked up and caught him watching, then stuck out her tongue. Very mature, he said. I'm 8. I'm allowed to be immature. Victoria laughed, a real laugh, unguarded and warm. It was a sound Marcus hadn't heard from her before. He realized, not for the first time, that the woman who ran a billion-dollar company was just as broken as he was, just as desperate for something real. The doctors say you can go home tomorrow, Victoria said, business mode returning. But there are some things we need to discuss first. The job offer, among other things. She pulled up something on her tablet. I've been thinking about what you said about wanting to be invisible again, about going back to mopping floors. And I think you're wrong. Victoria held up a hand before he could protest. Not about wanting peace, not about putting Maya first, but about what you're capable of contributing. Victoria, hear me out. She turned the tablet to show him a document. This is a proposal for a new division at Chase Industries. We're calling it the SHIELD Initiative. The goal is to identify and protect people who are in danger. Domestic violence, survivors' witnesses under threat, refugees fleeing persecution. Real protection, not just security theater. Marcus scanned the document. It was comprehensive, detailed, exactly the kind of thing Victoria would create. Why are you showing me this? Because I want you to run it. The words hung in the air. Maya had given up pretending to read and was watching them both with undisguised curiosity. I'm a janitor, Marcus said finally. You were Delta Force. You led operations that saved hundreds of lives. You have skills that most people can't even imagine. I had those skills. I walked away from that life. You walked away from violence. This isn't violence. This is protection. There's a difference. You said so yourself when you refused to kill Volkov. Marcus thought about the warehouse, about the choice he'd made standing over his wife's killer with a gun in his hand. Protection and violence aren't as different as you think. Maybe not, but the intention matters. The purpose matters. Victoria leaned forward. Marcus, I've spent 6 years building weapons surveillance systems, security protocols, things designed to catch bad guys after they've already done damage. I'm tired of that. I want to build something that prevents damage, something that saves people before they need saving. And you think I can help with that? I think you're the only person who can, because you understand both sides. You've been the weapon, and you've chosen not to be. That perspective is invaluable. Marcus looked at Maya. She was watching him with those two wise eyes, waiting to see what he'd decide. What do you think, baby girl? Maya considered the question seriously. I think you should do it. You're always happiest when you're helping people. Even when you were just a security guard, you were always fixing things for people, teaching them stuff. This is the same thing, just bigger. It's also more dangerous. Everything's dangerous if you think about it enough. Crossing the street is dangerous. Eating fish is dangerous because of bones. Maya shrugged. But you can't hide from dangerous stuff forever. That's what you taught me. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. His daughter was throwing his own words back at him, and she was right. There would be conditions, he said to Victoria. Name them. I keep my night shift. 1 night a week minimum. Mopping floors, checking locks. It keeps me grounded. Done. Maya stays out of it, completely. No mention of her in any documents, no public appearances, nothing that could make her a target. Agreed. And if I say something's too dangerous, that's final. No arguments, no pressure. I've got a daughter to raise. Victoria extended her hand. Deal. They shook on it, and Marcus felt the weight of the last 6 years begin to lift. Not disappear, the ghost would always be there, but lighten. Become something he could carry without being crushed. Does this mean you're going to be rich now? Maya asked. I don't know about rich. The position comes with a significant salary, Victoria interrupted. College fund, health insurance, the works. So yes, Maya said. Rich. Comfortable, Marcus corrected. Rich people always say comfortable. Maya returned to her book with an air of satisfaction. Can we get a bigger apartment, one where I have my own bathroom? We'll see. That means yes. Victoria stood to leave, then paused at the door. Marcus, there's one more thing. What? The board wants to hold a ceremony. Recognize what you did during the marathon. The media's calling you a hero, the night security guard who took down an international arms dealer. Marcus felt his stomach clench. No. I told them you'd say that. No ceremonies, no recognition, no interviews. I know. I already handled it. Told them you were a private person who preferred to remain anonymous. They weren't happy, but they accepted it. Victoria smiled. You get to stay invisible, Marcus, just like you wanted. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The SHIELD initiative goes public next month. You might not be invisible for much longer. She left before he could respond. Marcus stared at the ceiling, counting tiles again, thinking about the future he hadn't expected to have. Daddy. Yeah, baby girl. I'm proud of you, for not killing that man, for choosing to be different. Marcus turned to look at his daughter. She was watching him with Rachel's eyes, that same mix of love and understanding that had always made him feel seen. Your mama would have been proud too, he said. I know. That's why I said it. She can't say it anymore, so I have to say it for her. Marcus felt tears prick at his eyes, the first ones he'd allowed himself since Rachel's funeral. He reached out, and Maya climbed onto the hospital bed beside him, careful of his bandages. I miss her, Maya whispered. Me too, baby girl. Every day. But it hurts less now. Is that bad? No. That's how it's supposed to work. The hurt fades, but the love stays. That's what your mama would want. They lay together in the hospital room, father and daughter survivors of a war they'd never asked to fight. Outside Chicago hummed with the sounds of a city that kept moving, regardless of the dramas playing out within it. Tomorrow, Marcus would go home. Next week, he'd start a new job that might actually matter. And somewhere in the future, there was a life waiting that didn't revolve around violence and revenge. For the first time in 6 years, that future felt possible. 3 months later, Marcus stood in a conference room at Chase Industries, looking out at 20 faces that mirrored his own experience. Veterans, all of them. Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force. Some in wheelchairs, some with visible scars, some with wounds that didn't show on the surface. They'd answered Victoria's call for volunteers, former military, who wanted to use their skills for something other than war. "My name is Marcus Thompson," he began. "I spent 15 years in the Army, most of it doing things I can't talk about. I've killed people. I've watched friends die. I've made decisions that still keep me up at night." The room was silent. These were people who understood silence, who knew the weight of words unspoken. 3 years ago, I walked away from all of it. Became a night security guard. Mopped floors. Tried to be invisible. Marcus paused, gathering his thoughts. I thought that was the answer. I thought if I could just disappear, the past would disappear with me. But it doesn't work that way. The past is always with us. The question is what we do with it. A young woman in the front row, Army based on her bearing, raised her hand. "What made you stop hiding?" "My daughter." Marcus smiled. "She told me that heroes don't hide, they help." I realized she was right. Running away from who I was didn't make me someone new. It just made me someone lost. An older man, Vietnam era, judging by his age, spoke up. "So what's the alternative? We can't all be security guards taking down arms dealers." "No, but you can take what you learned, the discipline, the training, the ability to function under pressure, and use it to protect people instead of hurt them. That's what the SHIELD initiative is about, finding civilians in danger and keeping them safe. Like bodyguards. Sometimes, but mostly like guardians, people who see threats before they develop. People who can get someone to safety without anyone ever knowing there was danger." Marcus looked around the room. "The best protection is invisible. The goal is that our clients never even realize they needed us." "What about the violent part?" another veteran asked. "We were all trained to fight. Some of us still want to." "Then you need to decide what that want is really about. Is it about protecting people, or is it about something else? Something you're carrying that you haven't dealt with yet?" The room went quiet. Marcus had touched a nerve, he could see it in their faces. "I'm not here to judge you," he continued. "I carried that same want for years, the need to fight, to prove something to matter. But I learned the hard way that violence doesn't solve violence. It just creates more of it. If you want to be part of this initiative, you have to be willing to look at that part of yourself honestly. And you have to be willing to choose a different path." After the session, Victoria found him in his office, a small room that he'd insisted on rejecting the corner suite she'd offered. "How did it go?" "Good, I think. Some of them will make it, some won't." "How can you tell?" "Experience." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "The ones who are ready have a certain look. Like they've already started doing the work, they just need someone to show them the direction. The ones who aren't ready, they're still angry, still fighting something they can't name." "And which were you when you started?" Marcus thought about it. "I was still angry, but I was also exhausted. Too tired to keep fighting, too stubborn to give up. Maya was the only thing that kept me going. She's a remarkable kid. She's her mother's daughter." Marcus stood walking to the window. "Victoria, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why are you really doing this? The SHIELD initiative, the investment, all of it. You could have just taken down Volkov and walked away. Why build something new?" Victoria was quiet for a moment. "Because I spent 6 years being consumed by revenge. 6 years where everything I did was about making Volkov pay for what he did to David. And when it was finally over, when he was in custody, and I could stop fighting, I realized I didn't know who I was anymore. The revenge had become my identity. So the initiative is about finding a new identity. It's about making something that matters, something that my brother would have been proud of." Victoria's voice cracked slightly. "David believed in protecting people. He gave his life trying to stop men like Volkov. I want to honor that. I want to build something that keeps going after I'm gone." Marcus nodded. He understood that need, the need to create something that outlasted the pain. "There's something else," Victoria said. "Something I've been meaning to talk to you about." "What?" "Us." The word hung in the air between them. They'd been dancing around it for months, the dinners that ran too long, the looks that lingered too much, the way they seemed to find excuses to be in the same room. "What about us?" Marcus asked carefully. "I care about you, Marcus, more than I probably should given our professional relationship. And I think you care about me too." "I do. But I've got a daughter who's already lost one mother. I can't ask her to risk that again." "You're not asking. I'm offering." Victoria stepped closer. "I'm not trying to replace Rachel. I know I never could. But Maya needs people who love her. And She stopped collecting herself. "I didn't expect to feel this way. Didn't expect to find family in the middle of trying to build a company. But here we are." "Here we are," Marcus repeated. "So what do we do about it?" Marcus thought about Maya, about what she'd said the night after the hospital. She'd asked if Victoria was going to be around more, and when Marcus had said maybe, she'd simply nodded and said, "Good. She makes you smile. You don't smile enough." "We take it slow," he said finally. "See where it goes, and we let Maya set the pace. If she's not comfortable, then we stop. I understand." Victoria smiled. "Slow works for me. I'm not going anywhere." "Neither am I." They stood together at the window looking out at a city that had nearly killed them both. But instead of seeing threats, Marcus found himself seeing possibilities. A future that wasn't defined by the past. A life that was worth living. That night, Marcus kept his promise. He put on his security guard uniform and walked the floors of Chase Industries with a mop and bucket. The night shift had become something sacred to him, a reminder of who he'd been and who he'd chosen to become. "You know you don't have to do this anymore," the young guard at the front desk said. "You're like running a whole division now." "I know." Marcus wrung out the mop. "But I like it. Keeps me honest." "Whatever you say, boss." Marcus smiled and kept working. The floors were already clean, the day staff did a good job, but that wasn't the point. The point was the rhythm, the simplicity, the dignity of honest work. Around midnight, Carl showed up with coffee and donuts. "Thought you might want some company," the old man said, settling into a chair near the security desk. "How'd you know I was here?" "Maya told me. She said you still do the night shift even though you don't have to." Carl shook his head. "You're a strange man, Marcus Thompson." "So I've been told." They sat together in comfortable silence, two veterans from different wars finding peace in the small hours. "You did good, you know," Carl said eventually. "With Volkov. With all of it." "I did what I had to do." "No, you did more than that. You had every reason to kill that man. Every justification, but you chose different." Carl sipped his coffee. "That takes a strength most people don't have." It almost broke me. "Almost doesn't count. What counts is you made the choice. You showed that little girl of yours that violence isn't the only answer. That's worth more than any kill ever could be." Marcus thought about Maya asleep at home with Mrs. Patterson watching over her. Tomorrow he'd take her to school, help her with homework, argue about vegetables, normal things, father things. "She's the best thing I ever did," Marcus said quietly. "They usually are. Kids, I mean. We spend our whole lives making mistakes, and then these little people come along and give us a chance to do better. A chance to be more than what we were." "You have kids, Carl." 4, scattered across the country, now living their own lives. But they still call on Sundays. Still send pictures of my grandkids. Carl smiled. "That's the thing about family, Marcus. It keeps growing. Keeps giving you reasons to stick around." At 2 in the morning, Marcus finished his rounds and headed home. The city was quiet, the streets empty except for the occasional taxi. He walked instead of driving, enjoying the cold air and the solitude. When he reached his apartment, Maya was waiting by the window. She'd done that ever since the warehouse, watching for him, making sure he came home. "You should be asleep," Marcus said, letting himself in. "I had a bad dream." "About what?" "About you not coming back." Maya wrapped her arms around his waist. "I know it's stupid. I know Volkov's in jail, but I still get scared sometimes." Marcus held her close, feeling her heartbeat against his chest. "That's not stupid, baby girl. That's normal. After everything we've been through, it would be strange if you weren't scared sometimes. Do you still get scared?" "Every day." "Really? Really? But I've learned that scared doesn't mean weak. It means you have something worth protecting, something worth fighting for." Maya pulled back, looking up at him with Rachel's eyes. "Is that why you still do the night shift, because you're scared?" "No, I do the night shift because it reminds me of something important." "What?" Marcus thought about the question, really thought about it. "It reminds me that every job has dignity. That you don't have to be famous or powerful to matter. That the people who keep the world running, the janitors, the security guards, the night shift workers, they're heroes too. Just quiet ones. Like you. Like a lot of people. People nobody notices. People who do the hard work without asking for credit." Marcus kissed her forehead. "Now come on, let's get you back to bed." He tucked her in, staying until her breathing evened out and sleep claimed her. Then he sat in the hallway outside her door, keeping watch like he had so many nights before. But something was different now. The weight on his shoulders felt lighter. The ghosts in his head were quieter. The future, which had always seemed so uncertain, now held possibility instead of dread. Marcus Thompson, father protector, night shift worker, had found his peace. Not by running from the past, but by building something new from its ashes. Not by seeking revenge, but by choosing redemption. And in the morning, he would wake up and do it all again. 6 months after the warehouse, Marcus stood at Rachel's grave with Maya beside him. It was a Sunday afternoon, the cemetery quiet except for birdsong. "Hi, Mama," Maya said, placing a bouquet of purple irises on the headstone. "It's me, and Daddy." Marcus added his own flowers, a single white rose, Rachel's favorite. "Things are different now," Maya continued. "Good different. Daddy has a real job where he helps people, and there's a lady named Victoria who makes him smile. I think you'd like her. She's bossy like you were." Marcus laughed despite himself. "Your mama wasn't bossy. She was totally bossy, in a good way." They stood in silence for a moment, the wind rustling through the trees. "I still miss you," Maya said to the headstone. "Every day. But it doesn't hurt as much anymore. Daddy says that's how it's supposed to work. The hurt fades, but the love stays." Marcus put his arm around his daughter, pulling her close. "He's been crying less too," Maya continued. "He thinks I don't notice, but I do. I notice everything." She looked up at Marcus. "Tell her the rest." "What rest?" "The thing you've been practicing. I heard you in the bathroom." Marcus felt his face flush. He had been practicing, rehearsing words that never seemed to come out right. "Go on," Maya urged. "She's waiting." Marcus took a breath. "Rachel, I've been carrying something for 3 years. Something I should have said a long time ago." He paused, gathering himself. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. I'm sorry my choices put you in danger. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you." The words felt inadequate, too small for the weight they carried. "But I want you to know something else," he continued. "I'm going to be okay. Maya's going to be okay. We're building a life that you would have been proud of. Not perfect, but real, full of love and purpose, and all the things that matter." Maya squeezed his hand. "And I forgive you too," Marcus said. "For leaving. For not being here. For all the birthdays and milestones you're going to miss." His voice cracked. "I know it wasn't your fault. I know you fought to stay." but I needed to say it anyway. I forgive you, and I'll always love you. Always. They stayed until the sun began to set, talking to Rachel about everything and nothing. Then they walked home together, father and daughter, their shadows stretching long behind them. "Daddy," Maya said, as they reached their building. "Yeah, baby girl. I think Mama heard you. I think she's happy." Marcus looked down at his daughter, this fierce, beautiful, wise little person who'd saved him in ways she'd never understand. "I think so too." That night, Marcus made dinner while Maya did homework at the kitchen table. The apartment was filled with the ordinary sounds of ordinary life, the sizzle of vegetables, the scratch of pencil on paper, the murmur of the radio playing soft jazz. "Daddy, what's redemption mean?" Marcus looked up from the stove. "Where'd you hear that word?" "My book. It says the hero found redemption. But I don't know what it means." Marcus thought about the question. About his own journey from soldier to weapon to father to protector. "Redemption is when you make up for the bad things you've done," he said carefully. "Not by erasing them, you can't erase the past, but by doing enough good that the scales start to balance. By becoming someone better than who you were. Like you. I'm trying. Every day." Maya nodded, satisfied with the answer. "I think you're doing good. At the redemption thing, I mean." "Thanks, baby girl." "You're welcome. Now can we have ice cream after dinner? I ate all my vegetables." "You haven't eaten anything yet. Dinner's not ready." "But I'm going to eat all my vegetables. That should count for something." Marcus laughed. The sound surprised him, not because it was rare anymore, but because of how natural it felt. How right. "We'll see," he said. "That means yes." Later, after the ice cream and the bedtime stories and the triple checking of locks, Marcus stood on the balcony and looked out at Chicago's skyline. The city was beautiful at night, all lights and shadows and possibilities. His phone buzzed. "Victoria." "How is the cemetery?" "Good. We talked to Rachel, told her about everything." "How do you feel?" Marcus considered the question. "Lighter, like I finally put down something I'd been carrying too long." "That's good. That's progress." "How was your day?" "Productive. We finalized the SHIELD initiative's first major operation. 12 domestic violence survivors successfully relocated to safe housing. No incidents. That's 12 lives saved. 12 families saved. Some of them have kids, Marcus. Kids who won't grow up watching their mothers get hurt." Marcus felt something warm spread through his chest. Pride maybe, or purpose, or both. "We did good." "We did. And we're going to keep doing good, for as long as it takes." They talked for another hour about work, and Maya and the future they were building together. When Marcus finally hung up, he stood in the darkness for a long moment, thinking about everything that had led to this point. The wars he'd fought, the lives he'd taken, the wife he'd lost, the daughter he'd almost failed, and somehow through all of it, he'd found his way to something worth having. Not happiness exactly. The ghosts were still there, would always be there. But peace. Acceptance. A life that mattered for reasons beyond survival. Marcus Thompson had spent 15 years learning how to kill. He'd spent another 3 years trying to forget. But in the end, what saved him wasn't violence or forgetting. It was love. The love of a daughter who needed him. The love of a wife who still watched over them. The love of a community that had embraced him without asking questions. And maybe that was the real lesson. Maybe that was what all those years of war and peace had been trying to teach him. That true strength isn't measured by what you can destroy. It's measured by what you choose to build, what you choose to protect, what you choose to love, despite knowing how much it can hurt. Marcus Thompson had made his choice, and for the first time in his life, he knew it was the right one.